Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Avoyim. Welcome to the, I guess it's the introductory shir of the Breslov Kollel for Erev Rosh Hashanah 5777. In case you missed the sign, my name is Ozer Bergman. And let's get started, right? And please pardon me if I refer to my notes once in a while. First of all, thank you for coming. I once gave a shir on how to listen to a shir. Maybe we'll do that some other time. But you should just try to bear in mind, generally speaking, that any shir you go to is a miniature Kabbalah Torah at Har Sinai. Right? At least if the person who's teaching is a kosher Jew, like that, which I hope I am. Can I ask you to close the back door, please? Thank you. Now, you are here in Uman because you have some connection to Rabbeinu Zal, to Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. It might be a tenuous connection, or you may feel that you want to be a Breslov Chassid, or you already consider yourself a Breslov Chassid. And certainly if that's the case, may that continue forever. Right? There should be a Breslov Chassid. The official title of this talk, I wouldn't actually call it a shir, but of this talk is Gor mein Zach is Tefillah. Right? This is a statement that Rabbeinu Zal said at one point that translating loosely from the Yiddish, Gor mein Zach is Tefillah means my entire mission is prayer. And everything that the Rebbe Dira taught was basically to promote better davening. If I use a word you don't know, please just signal and I'll try to translate it into English. That's the official title of the class, of the talk. Actually, what I wanted to title the talk was How to Improve Your Davening. Right? And what I really wanted to call it was, and you'll pardon me for my crude language, why your davening stinks and what you can do to make it better.
That's the point.
Right. No, let's do agree, like we say in Eretz Yisrael. Straight. No. So, and it's not what you think it is. Okay? The Chazal tell us, as a pasuk in Tehillim, Mizmor Yud Beis, Krum Zulus Livnei Adam, right? Which is not so easy to translate. But Chazal, the Gemara in Brachas and the Vav Amid Beis, says that Kurum, the word rum means something elevated or lofty. Kurum, that thing which is elevated, is zol, is cheap and insignificant, livnei adam, to people. That's what the Gemara says. And Rashi says, for example, tefillah. So, first of all, just take note of the fact that the perspective that most of the world, and when we say the world, we mean Orthodox Jews, people who are committed to keeping the Torah. The perspective on tefillah, for going back to at least Rashi's time, and maybe into the time of Chazal, has been Kurum Zulis Livnei Adam. The general perspective on tefillah is, it's something we have to do. But, Gor mein Zach is tefillah, the Rebbe says. My mission is to make tefillah, to make davening important to the world. That's the Rebbe's mission, and that, as people who are volunteers for that mission, that we've joined ourselves to the Rabbeinu Zal, So to some extent, our personal mission for each and every one of us is also to make davening important. But we certainly aren't at the Rebbe's level of tefillah. I don't mean his kavanah, his focus. I mean the respect for tefillah. How much respect do we give our davening? Okay, we're Breslovers. We know his Hisbodedus is important, and we try to do it an hour every day, or 59 minutes every day if we can't do a whole hour, right? But we know tefillah is important. And we know a lot of us try to daven vasikin or an early minyan because we know the Rebbe said davening is important. And also by mincha we try to daven before shkia, many of us. Right? Tefillah is important. All that said and done, we don't have enough respect for tefillah, and I'll prove it to you in a minute. Now, this is a slightly parenthetical thing, but something that's I've been walking around with this idea for years, and I want to tell it to somebody, and you people look like the perfect people to tell it to, so I'm going to tell it to you. How do most of us daven Shachris in the morning, right? Okay, this is how we daven. We have a job. We have to get to work by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whatever it is. So we figure, okay, I have to be in work at 9 o'clock. I'm going to use New York examples. That's where my hometown is, right? And the commute takes 45 minutes, 50 minutes. So that means I have to be on the road by 10 after 8. But I have to go home after davening, so that means I have to daven at 6:30 and be out by 7:15, get home, help my wife, the kids, get in the car, catch a train. Right? Now, that's putting the cart before the horse. Ideally, and for those of you who are still young and thinking about career paths and all that sort of thing, or just looking for a job, would be more appropriate, if we have real respect for tefillah, to say, okay, it takes me 2 hours to daven shachris on a weekday. Alavai, I wish, right, that I would put in that much effort. So it takes me 2 hours to daven shachris in the morning, and I start at 7, that means I won't finish till 9 o'clock. That means I have to look for a job or a career where I don't have to get to work till 10:30 in the morning. That's putting the horse in front of the cart. Well, the davening is central, and then, now I realize that I'm some sort of idealist and dreamer and live in some sort of, fantasy land, known as Yerushalayim, where, but if we would stop and think, tefillah, we, unfortunately, part of the Golos mentality is that we ascribe more power to our jobs, right, than we do to our tefillas, to our davening. And when I say our tefillas, I don't mean simply the printed words on the page of the siddur. I'll tell you what I mean. The Rabbeinu Zal says in Likutei Moharan, the first part, lesson number 2, that he uses a mashal that compares davening to cooking and baking. Right? Some of my friends who cook, right? I think maybe you also bake. I don't know. Right? But even if you don't do it yourself, maybe you observed your better half or other people, your mother or someone cooking and baking. You know that it takes preparation. You've got to, preheat the oven. You've got to, melt this. You've got to chop up that. Prep in the kitchen. Davening takes preparation. You just can't fall into it. Right? But again, since we don't have enough conscious respect for the davening, we don't think about preparing for davening. Right? So what happens is, okay, we do a certain minimal sort of preparation. We wake up and we wash nagelwasser and we make brachas, But real preparation, and we'll talk a little about what that is, we don't do because we don't think about it. This is a pop quiz, right? If you think you know the answer, please raise your hand. Rabbi Nachman, Rabbeinu Zal, succeeded at Yiddishkeit because of what reason? 20 seconds. Well, raise your hand if you have anything you have an answer. Yes?
Talking to Hashem.
Half credit.
He'd better do it.
Well, that's the same.
Yeah.
That's the same half share.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'll tell you what the Rabbeinu Zal said.
It works. I mean, it's,
The Rabbeinu Zal said he succeeded in Yiddishkeit because of one thing: hard work.
yeah.
Hard work. You have to put in effort to succeed at Yiddishkeit, Yahadut. If you want to be an Eved Hashem, just like Lahavdil, it really doesn't deserve to mention the same breath, but if you want to succeed at school, at lawyering or doctoring or whatever your profession is, for photography, right? You've got to put in effort. You got to practice at it. You may be born with a certain innate talent for the thing, but these guys who are playing in symphony orchestras, they practice 8-10 hours a day. Right? You want to be good at davening, you've got to put in the work. It just doesn't happen. Once in a while, Hashem gives us an extra bracha, and it just flows, and we're focused, and you don't even notice that you're, in the typhoon going up halfway to Shemayim. There's a story with, I think Rabbi Yisrael Salanta, there was some sort of war going on, and he was davening, for some reason, the Yechidus, I don't know why, and a bomb flew into the room, and it got, hit the wall and, got stuck halfway through, but didn't go off. He didn't even notice. Okay. You want to get good at something? You want to get good at any part of Yiddishkeit? You have to put in the effort. And it's not only physical effort. Real davening also requires emotional effort. Remember, because you're not just saying words. You're trying to get in touch with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but you are trying to get in touch with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? Not the shell of who you are, but the real you, that nefesh, that ruach, that neshama within you wants to come out, wants to come up and express itself. The Rebbe says over and over, Nafshi yotza b'dabra, my nefesh. What's a nefesh?
So,
That's the translation. What's that?
yeah, sure.
Yeah, what my nefesh? What is my nefesh?
Your inner being.
Yeah, who am I? What am I? That's what I'm saying. That willingness to take a look, and see who you really are, and that inner being of whom you are, that takes effort to draw out and to see and to acknowledge. Right? So now, let's talk about Shacharis, right? The morning prayer. When does Shacharis begin? Another pop quiz. If you answered before, don't answer this time. Give somebody else a chance. Don't be shy. Remember, we're Jews, we're not shy. It's okay to make a mistake. I've made 60 years worth of mistakes. What?
The second you wake up, Maidani.
There's no time to do
No, you're already late. That was a hint. You're getting warmer.
Going to sleep.
Well, no, you're later than mine. Most people try to down mine before they go to sleep. Right. Well, no, well, Ma'ariv is earlier than that too. But Shachris starts the day before. Shachris, starts really with a good night's sleep. Because since davening takes work, if you're tired, you won't be able to concentrate as well as if you're refreshed and, focused. I don't know where you've been davening. I don't know when you got to Uman now. I don't know where you've been davening Shabbos last day or two. But here I've noticed people falling asleep and davening. If you've been at the Tzion, okay, people are jet lagged, they're coming from all over. But a lot of people we just don't realize how much sleep we need. And if you get a proper amount of sleep, you will have more koach, more mental koach to put into your davening. I'll tell a quick story Rabbi Kramer told. I don't know who the other party was involved, one of his friends. He and a friend were discussing, is it better to sleep 6 hours a day and serve Hashem 18 hours a day, or to sleep 8 hours a day and serve Hashem 16 hours a day? So they went to Rabbi Eli Chaim Rosen, Zichrono Livracha, who was from here. He had been in Uman, he escaped Eretz Yisrael, and they asked him, and he said, he rephrased the question. He said, is it better to sleep 6 hours a day and serve Hashem like a behemoth, or 8 hours a day and serve Hashem like a human being? Because if you don't get enough sleep, your mind is less human, you're not thinking, you're thinking more like an animal, right? Not just for showing that you're in the street or in the barn, but it's just not that. Right? So Shachris really starts the day before with a good night's sleep, and really, and truly, it does start with Mincha the day before, right? So in another couple of hours we'll be davening Mincha, so you're already prepping for Shachris. But that's already more, that's too much off the topic I want to discuss. That's more to do with, Gvuras and Chasadim and that sort of stuff, right? Okay. How many people here either learn Daf Yomi or would like to learn Daf Yomi? Okay. How many people here learn Mishnah Yomis or Halacha Yomis? Right? Or, okay? Likutei Maran Yomi? Okay, very good. Now, we know, let's focus on the Gemara for a minute. It takes, let's say, 7 years to go through Shas Bavli. Right? And let's say you started at the age of 10 to learn Shas Bavli, and you did Daf Yomi. And a person lives for 70 years to the age of 80. That's 70 divided by 7 is 10. That means just from Daf Yomi we go through Shas Bavli 10 times. Right? Which is, I'd like to say about myself. No? Probably you would too. Now, excuse me, let's make a cheshbon. Let's do some arithmetic. How many times do you daven? Well, let's take a kid who's bar mitzvah, and he's going to daven for the next 50 years. So it's 3 times a day, not including Shabbos and Yom Tov and Rosh Chodesh, times 350. We'll make the math a little simpler. That's 1,050. One year you daven Shmoneh Esrei 1,050 times. Right? 1,050 times 50. Take out your app and do the math. Right? That's okay. That's about 50,000 times. Don't you think that we should study davening? If you don't do this thing 50,000 times in your life, that's a lot of times. Right? You should know, right? And I am not at all talking even anything nister, no Kabbalah, no Hasidic Vertlach. I'm talking about simple. What do these words mean? What are they saying? Right? Why all the repetition of V'chai Mesim? Say it once. Why are we saying it 3 times? And where do these words come from? Okay, when we have Chazal, the Matak and the Tefillah sound shaking as Gedolah, but where are they drawing from? And why are they choosing these words? Right? Whether you're davening Nusach Ashkenaz, Nusach Ari, Nusach Sfard, Nusach Edot Mizrach. No. Why? What's going on here? Right? Sit down and learn the Gemara. Why there's a Seder? Why do we start with Atachonim? And go to Hashivenu, and to Slach Lanu. And why is Rufa'enu number 8 in the list of brachas? And why? If you really respect tefillah, and listen, I'm not saying that you, I'm saying we. Doesn't it behoove us to take the time and dedicate ourselves to learning what we're saying? Again, no fancy stuff, right? A lot of us, again, I don't know each of you, but many of us, are latecomers, and even after 20, 30 years, not really sure what all the words mean, one day I'm going to remember to look up that, particular word, right? And, and so know what I'm saying, right? That's, remember, you can down 50,000 times, maybe more. Remember, we didn't include Musaf, and we didn't, like that. That's another way that we have to exert ourselves to prepare for davening. And again, this, and again, it sounds so simple, but it's really something very necessary. I remember when I was a little kid, and I'd be up for too long. My mother, Aleh Shalom, would say to one of her sisters, maybe to my father, Aleh Shalom, she would say, "Oh, he's cranky." Right? You adults also get cranky, not just kids, right? And you want to come to daven with kavanah, and again, you need strength, because davening, Chatal tell us, is in place. It's a substitute for korbanot, the korban tamid shel shachar, the morning korban, the afternoon korban. The word korban, sacrifice, right? But the word korban really comes from the shoresh korev, to come close, right? So the korban, coming close, the tefillah is something that's supposed to bring us closer to Hashem. But, we were talking about this a while ago in the room, there's forces pushing us away, right? There's pressures from the wife, there's pressures from the kids, somebody in the family may be sick, maybe there's something's happening financially, or something's not happening financially, right? Or maybe some sort of politics in the shul, that occasionally happens, maybe you've read about that sort of thing. There's all sorts of stuff that's happening in your life, your own physical health, even, that's pushing you away from korban, it's pushing you away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so you need to get a proper, decent amount of sleep so that you can daven Shachris with the energy that it deserves. And not just go through the motion of saying the words and turning the pages. I'm going to stop beating that horse for a while. I'm going to find a different horse now to beat. Right? Now, it's the same question, but it's got a different answer. What time does Shachar start? Right? Not you in the blue shirt, the guy behind you. No. You. With the glasses. Let me turn around.
Okay.
What time do you usually daven on the weekday meeting? What time do you mean start?
I daven very late because I have to start working at 8 a.m. So I work a little and then.
Okay, I'll ask somebody
10,
else.
11,
Okay, well, I don't have the whole life story.
Okay.
Okay, what time are you daven?
8 o'clock.
Okay, 8 o'clock, man. What time you show up for 8 o'clock, man? True confession, you're gonna have to do vidui devarim by the Rebbe, so tell us first.
8:10.
8:10. That's a Jew for you. Okay. What time, if you're a minion that you go to starts at 8 o'clock, what time should you show up for davening?
At least 10 minutes before.
A quarter to 8, 10 minutes before. Okay, how long does it take you to run talis and tefillin? Some guys put it on like that. Some of us take longer. Okay, good. Do you have anything else to do before? Do you say korbanot? Some people do, some people aren't so careful to say. How about if you go to the mikveh before davening? How long is that going to take you? Right? When the shul says, maybe you're davening a Hasidic shul, but if it says that the minyan starts at 8, you should be there before 8. You know, like that. I mean, again, Gor mein Zach is davening. Right? Gor mein Zach is tefillah. What we have to do is show respect for tefillah. Respect for tefillah is, you know, if you don't come late for a doctor's appointment or a dentist appointment, the dentist deserves more respect. If lahavdil, you know, you had a job interview, would you come late? Would you come at 8:10 if the interview is 8 o'clock? You wouldn't get the job so fast, right? Respect for the davening. Show up early. Show up early, not just on time, early, so that when the davening starts, you are ready. You have your talis and tefillin on. You have your siddur, and I'm a big advocate, just by the way, of having your own siddur, not just pulling one off the shelf. But you're ready. Right? Calm, focused. This is not in a rush. Oh God, they're already up to skip. What am I? Can I skip that? Can I skip? Say everything. Right? The Chazal want us to say all these things. There's a reason for it, even if we don't understand. Again, this is all stuff that will make your davening better. You'll actually enjoy davening, but it's hard work. You have to exert yourself. But if you want to, even approach or think of approaching Rabbeinu Zal's level, which the Rebbe said, if we listen to him, we can achieve his level. He said it, not me. He said it. But we got to start putting in the work. Okay. Now I'll tell you another thing. Right? And this is, again, none of this is mine. This is all coming from the Rebbe's farm. When we talk about respecting the davening and davening better, one of the reasons we don't daven so well is because we don't really believe it. Yeah, sure, somebody asks you, oh, you think your prayers mean anything? Yes, of course, and I believe. But how much? How much do you believe it? Right? Do you believe that you can change the course of history with your tefillah? But you can. You can. I'll give you one example. Right? Once upon a time, there was this Jewish woman. Close the door, please. This Jewish woman who lived in Eretz Yisrael, and sadly, happily she was married for a number of years, but sadly, she didn't have children for a number of years. Sadly, she didn't have children for a number of years. But she davened, and she davened, and she davened, and she had a child. That child turned out to be, grew up to be, Shmuel HaNavi. Chana Neviah davened, and her tefillah, which led to the birth of Shmuel HaNavi, changed the world. Right? We have Sefer Shmuel and Sefer Rus and other psalms that he was one who wrote. And of course he was the one who helped Klal Yisrael transition into the era of Malachim, anointing Shaul HaMelech and then David HaMelech. Right? She didn't think she was any big deal, but she really wanted that. And she wanted it for the right reason, to serve Hashem. And that tefillah changed it. It changed the course of the world. Now, the way you and I can change the world may not be as dramatic, right? But when we ask for something, when you ask for shalom bayis, if that's what your situation needs, or for somebody else's shalom bayis, which you're also allowed to do you really believe that your tefillah is going to make an impact and have that change? Right? Do you really believe it? Right? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And you can work on that. You may only believe it this much today, but by the time you go to sleep tonight, you can believe it this much, or even more. Now, I want to tell you something that's astounding. There lived in Uman, he was nifter almost 100 years ago, Reb Shimshon Barsky. The whole story of how his grandfather became Kurv to Breslov. He lived here in Uman. He's buried in the cemetery, even though we don't know exactly where graves are located, but we know he's there. And he points out, again, coming from Likutei Moharan, Likutei Halachos, that you and I, we all have to believe that our tefillas, kid from wherever you are, grew up, someplace in Argentina, someplace in Hungary, who knows where you're from, But your tefillah, you have the power that with your davening, you can daven a miracle. And that's not an exaggeration. That's a primary belief, primary emunah. A, in the power of tefillah, and B, in your power. You're not nobody. You're a Jew. The Rebbeinu Shalom listens to you. The Rebbe says in the first Torah of the second part of the Likutei Moharan that we Jews are more powerful than Malachim. How many of us really believe that? Some of us can't even, convince another person to do something. How do we expect to, believe that our tefillah can make a miracle? Right? Again, let's take a very crude, simple example. Let's say somebody needs $50, right? And he doesn't see how it's going to happen. But so he davens a $50 tefillah. Right? But if somebody needs a miracle, a $5 million miracle, that's going to need a $5 million tefillah. Right? Right? And we can understand, right, that it needs more work. But the basic thing to remember is you can do it. You can do it. Your tefillah can make a miracle. Right? Why it doesn't happen is also a separate discussion. Why not? Why did it happen? I done so much. I did all the right things. These are good questions, but not questions we're going to discuss today. So, again, part of the preparation for tefillah, and this is, again, the preparation, again, just like cooking, a lot of times, the preparation takes longer than the actual act of the thing. So here also, right? So here also, the preparation, sleeping, right? Coming on time, make sure everything is ready for you to daven, right? And the inner preparation, reminding yourself of who you are and what you're capable of, right? No, these all take preparation, but these are all, and these, again, it's not just for today's mincha or tonight's ma'ariv or tomorrow's shakas. These are things that we have to do over and over and over again. These, because we're called on to daven every single day, right? And this is also something I just want to address parenthetically. I've been asked a number of times, like, why do we have to say so many words? Right? What, do we have to say all the halalukas every single day? By Varas David and Azelsha every day? Right? Apparently we do. But the question is why? Right? Anybody have any ideas? Don't all rush to answer at once. Don't be shy.
Because we were told to.
That's a good reason. Okay, 1 second. You're online.
Because the way to arouse emotion is through details.
Okay.
And if you're reading something in the paper, you just read a headline, you're like, eat your bagel, a couple of people died. No, but when you read about it more in depth, it arouses, you're connected to it more.
Okay. Okay.
It's a progression. All the different parts of the davening are a progression from. I mean, there's the kabbalistic,
Right.
Kabbalistic explanation, but then it is really there's a each section has its own kind of Klalius experience of moving progressively in and out.
Right. There's the emotional component. There's like there's the intellectual components. Right. Okay. But every day? Why every day?
He says, Yoshev Tehilos Israel, which means the more words, the bigger the crown we give to Hashem.
Okay. The more words we say, the bigger crown to Hashem. Okay. But why every day? Maybe next.
Every day is a new day.
Every day is a new day. Okay.
Right.
Right. Okay. That's a big. That right. You know, that's also something we have to bear in mind. Just the Reb Chaim mentioned here that time takes time, as they say in the 12-step groups. Right. Time takes time, and we can't fix 57, 77 in one shot. Right. This the upcoming year. We're going to have to do it over the course of the year. And we still have a couple of days left in 57, 76 to fix this year, right? And we know this is Thursday, so we fix Thursday, and tomorrow we'll fix Friday. Each thing, each day has its, its work. We can't, pay it forward too much. You was that an answer?
I was just thinking back, in sports, like in high school sports, like in wrestling, we used to do the same thing, repetitions again and again and again until we could internalize it and apply it regularly. And maybe Hashem and Chazal wants to internalize these principles through repetition.
Okay, we're on a roll. Who wants to answer next? Yes.
It's immediate. I don't know why you have to say so many of them. Why we do the same thing every day is because our davening parallels the korbanos. So
Okay, so the daily, and says the daily. Okay.
So the Oretz Scroll says that we say the Psalms to help us achieve a more cheerful disposition when we come to the Amidah, etc. So it helps us to get to this level of serving Hashem with joy.
Right, that's part of the progression, I think. You feel more cheerful after you say the Psalms?
100%.
Okay, very good. Okay. One of the reasons also, everybody, you're all right. Right? All the reasons are all right, yeah. But another reason is, I don't know the exact numbers, but there's 7-8 billion human beings on the planet.
7 billion.
7 billion, okay. And how many of those 7 billion are davening every day? Less than 100,000 probably. Well, let's be generous and call it 1 million. Let's be generous. Doesn't cost anything. Might as well be generous.
Are we counting the Muslims?
plead the fifth on the vice of council.
35 times a day. That's sort of the same thing.
Okay. You never hear anybody ask, why do they print newspapers every day? Why do they have, the news report every hour on the hour? It doesn't bother the world at large that it's just like this, more or less the same old stuff over and over and over, right? And all that stuff, right, gets in our way, because all that negative energy that's blowing in the wind, right, from talking heads and from I don't have to explain it to anybody who's even is slightly aware, of what's going on, right? All that gets in the way of our communication with the Rebbeinu Shalom. When we say the Halalukas, when we say the Korbanot, the Halalukas, in general, Kriya Shema, part of that is just to fight back. To put, the Rebbe says that one of the things that we have to do is to add das to the Kedusha, awareness of the Kadosh Baruch Hu's existence and presence, and hashgacha pratis, that He's taking care of everything, not just every person, but every single detail, at every creation in the cosmos, and at every moment, right? That's part of what we're doing when we're saying all these words, right? We're not only praising Hashem, and we're not only asking Hashem and thanking Hashem for things, we're trying to send out das. When we daven, whether it's here in Uman, or in Shalayim, or in Argentina, or in Chile, or wherever you're from, you're trying in your corner of the world to send out das kedusha, that the whole world should know that there is a Rebbeinu Shalom, there is a Master of the world who's taking care of everything. Right? And that's the goal that we're aiming for, part with our davening, and part of everything that we do, every mitzvah, every time we refrain from an avera, right? Even at times when we just simply exercise self-control because we don't need anything extra from this world, right? It's just to stay focused on Hashem. Now, I've done a fair amount of talking. If anybody would like to ask any sort of question on what we talked about, or on what we didn't talk about. Wow, it's so clear and so brilliant that all your questions are answered. I'm impressed. Yes, sir.
What's the best way to fight back when you're there at chakras and all of a sudden thoughts come streaming into your mind about different problems you're having at work later on that morning? What's the best way to get back, stay on track, or get back on track?
Okay. About a few weeks ago, a friend of mine from the San Francisco area emailed me a question. It was actually the rabbi of one of the Orthodox schools there. He asked me a question: what are the 10 most important lessons in Likutei Moharan to learn? Right? And everybody will tell you Zamra, lesson 282 in the first part, finding the good Nakuda. Almost everybody will tell you lesson number 12 in the second part of Likutei Moharan, Aye, where's Hashem, right? And everybody has his personal favorites, right? There's a small, but short, not small, a short 3 or 4 line lesson in Likutei Moharan, Tinyana, part 2, lesson 50, Torah Nun. Right. Let me give you the mashal first, and then the nimshal. The mashal, the analogy is riding a horse. Riding a horse, and you're the rider, and the horse is going, and the horse goes off track. The Rebbe says, what does the rider do? he pulls the reins and he puts the horse back on track. That's the mashal. The nimshal, the analog, the fancy word, right, is your thoughts are the horse. You, whoever you are, nefesh maybe, what were we talking about before? You are the rider. You control your thoughts. You can say, no, I'm about to say Ashrei now. I'm not going to think about the report that was due last week that I haven't started yet, right? Or whatever it may be, right? Or whatever, wherever it is that you're on. Right? It'll come back. The horse will try to pull itself off track. Your thoughts will, because especially if you aren't practiced in it, right? Right? So then your thoughts will rush back to where they shouldn't be. So you have to practice bringing it back. You are the rider. You are the one who determines what you're thinking, not anyone else. Right? Even you'll hear all these great shiurim at Breslov Kollel. It's up to you to choose what you want to think. Right? You face advertising, you go out and, you go out that green gate, right? There's a whole lot of stuff happening. You choose whether you want to focus on something that's loud or annoying or bothersome in any way. No, you stay focused. You choose what you want to do. And it applies to everything. Right? It's a very short lesson. And we have the English edition up here if you need it. But I encourage very, very strongly that you take a look at that lesson and you internalize that lesson. And if you don't learn any other lesson in Likutei Moharan but that one, Likutei Moharan Tinyana, Part 2, lesson number 50, put that into practice, you'll be in good shape. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
How do you reconcile the preparations for Mincha? I mean, for Shabbos, it's easier to take in because you can have a good night's sleep, you can get short early. For Mincha, for a lot of us, where we're going to leave the office for 10 minutes, go down Mincha quickly and come back.
Right.
How do you get any work frame of mind for that?
Okay. Lucky for you, in my Seder of learning Likutei Halachas, I'm doing Hilchas Mincha right now, so I know what the answer. But Nosson told me, right? The Gemara says that a person, of all the three tefillas in the day, a person has to be especially careful to daven Mincha with kavanah, because it's the hardest one to daven. Because you're at the office, you're on the road, because you're busy learning in Kollel, and all of a sudden you have to stop everything and remember there's a Rebbeinu Shalom. Right? You're on the phone with a client, you're about to close a $1 million deal. Oh, that's 5 minutes to shkia. I'm sorry, I gotta go. Right? Mincha is the hardest because you don't have the same ability to prep, right? Except Chazal do tell us about a certain very special, unique class of people who Chazal called Chasidim Arishonim, that they spent 9 hours a day in tefillah. An hour before Shachris, an hour for Shachris, and an hour after Shachris. Or were they doing it an hour after? They were soaking it in. And then they repeated Mincha, another 3 hours for Mincha. I know guys can have Mincha in 3 minutes. Right? One of the jokes, that sometimes people tell is that 6:30 minyan is so fast they finish at 6:15. Right? But Mincha is really the hardest to feel because you don't have the prep time, right? And you have to, but because Baruch Hu takes that into account, But there also, you can, if you've got some sort of alarm clock or some sort of system to remind you, so maybe you can squeeze out a little minute before, like that. But it definitely is the hardest thing to do. But challenge. And at least when you're on vacation, like when you're in Uman, show the Rebbeinu Shalom. Hashem, you see, if I had time every day, I would be more prepared for Mincha. That also works.
Where
Well, they've gone to their heavenly reward, right? Yes, sir. Last question, Rabbi Seville.
What should one do with the very fast davening?
Okay, yeah, okay, that's a very good question.
Many of us show up for a minyan, and we show up prepared, and 10 minutes later they're done, and we're still doing
Right,
it.
well, I'm still putting on my tefillin, they're already,
Right.
right, yeah, okay. So there's a couple of things to do. Sometimes you can't do anything. That's just a fact. This is where you live, and this is what your options are. So you show up. It's an answer, Baruch Hu and Kaddish and Baruch Hu and Kedusha, and okay. Maybe, technically speaking, halachically speaking, Tefillah B'tzibur is starting Shmona Esrei with the minyan. So maybe you have to show up 40 minutes early for that to happen. I don't know. Okay, and again, I don't know how that works out. You are in real life situations. Current that they are. So maybe you can't afford that, but that's the thing. And if you can't do it, you can't do it, but you do the best you can. Right? So, but that really is an issue for a lot of us. I know people. Again, these are people who don't do anything else all day. They're close to being Hasidim Rishonim. They start Shachris with the 6:30 minyan, and they say Kaddish, and that minyan is over by 7 o'clock. Right? But they're getting to Kriya Shema with this minyan that started at 7 o'clock, and they start Shmona Esrei with the minyan that started at 7:30. Right? So they're in shul for 2-3 hours in the morning, taking their time and davening like that. But again, and the truth is, if tefillah is that important to us, maybe, and I'm not necessarily saying that we're obligated to do this, but maybe we should think, maybe I do need to change my lifestyle in order to daven the way I should. That's a very radical question, and it's a very serious question, especially if you have a family and it's going to change a lot in the family dynamic, right? But Rabbi Isai, I wish you, each and every one of us, a ksiva chesima tova, a good gevan shior, and we shall all be written b'sifran, l'chaim tov l'shalom b'sifran shal tzadikim amitim. May your kesher with Rabbeinu Zal grow ever stronger, ever more honest, and may we be zoichet and mekayim the eitzes of the Rebbe, the tmimus of pshitas.
Amen.